Good morning. Welcome everybody to the CECIMO webinar, Closing the Skill Gap in Manufacturing. A widening skill gap in the manufacturing sector is putting pressure on educational institutions and industry to increase their efforts to boost workers' competencies. A large part of the existing industrial workforce does not have a background in emerging areas like advanced analytics, robotics, and digital or additive manufacturing. As such, many companies are facing difficulties to find workers with the right set of skills. As Europe seeks to keep a competitive position in the manufacturing sector, it is essential to establish coordination which would align European, national, and regional skill strategies, as well as develop cooperation between policymakers, industry, and training centers. Despite the digital ambitions and the green initiatives, Europe risks falling behind global competitors on digital and green skills development for its workforce. The multi-annual financial framework, together with the next generation EU instrument, will give the member states an unprecedented opportunity to finance and develop specific measures to strengthen the resilience of the workforce and the competitiveness of European manufacturing. As an example, we believe that it will be very important to create dedicated calls for proposals to support the creation of trainings that can help the current and the future workforce to adapt to the new digital and green transition. Closing the skill gaps will not only require investments, it will need a structural cooperation between the European Commission and the member states in the following areas: improvement of the education policy framework, upskilling and reskilling practices, and lifelong learning opportunities. The recently published European Skills Strategy has been a step forward in this direction. In particular, we are very pleased to see the importance given to the development of a coherent and coordinated skills framework across Europe. We are certain that this kind of actions will enable economic growth and maintain Europe's industry's competitiveness abroad. Now, to be effective, the new skills policy framework must have enough flexibility to be able to adapt to a fast-changing sector, as well as involve industry and educational stakeholders in the design and the delivery of the new skills actions. It will be essential to foster dialogue among the industry stakeholders and policymakers to properly address those challenges, which could boost Europe's economic recovery and give way to new digital and green jobs. Now at CECIMO, we will continue to work with both the EU institutions and the member states, voicing the concerns of the industry and promoting solutions that could help to tackle the skills gap. The webinar today wishes to promote a proactive discussion between institutional representatives and industry, looking for coordinated strategies that could help the manufacturing sector moving forward. During the event, we will have the pleasure to hear from Mrs. Alison Crabb, Head of Unit, Skills and Qualification Unit, DG Employment, Social Affairs and Inclusion, Mrs. Susanna Loncher-Racke, Policy Officer, Education, Education and Research Unit, Permanent Representation of the Federal Republic of Germany, Mrs. Adelaide Almeida, Project Manager, European Federation for Welding, Joining and Cutting, Mr. Christian Wichmann, Training Advisor, Nachwuchsstiftung Maschinenbau, and Ixaka Ehurbida, Director General, Instituto de Máquina Herramienta. Thanks to all the speakers. Please note that you can use the questions and answer option or the chat box to write questions for the speakers. Make sure to specify the name of the speaker in your question so that it can be properly addressed. And now by this, I would like to give the floor to Ms. Alison Crabb, and I wish you all a pleasant discussion and a very good continuation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Philip, and thank you for the invitation to join your seminar this morning. I'm looking forward to it. What I would like to do in my short remarks is introduce some of the most recent developments at EU level around the skills policy framework, and I hope by doing so also reinforce the message that I really think there's a fresh momentum at the moment around skills and cooperation on skills. So I know that there is a CECIMO colleague who has all the power over my PowerPoint presentation. So I will be in the hands of Vincenzo or Damir perhaps to navigate through that. So what I would like to introduce this morning is the update of the European Skills Agenda, the policy compass, if you like, for cooperation on skills at European level, and perhaps spend a few minutes particularly on the Pact for Skills, which was launched a couple of days ago, Tuesday evening, during this week's Vocational Skills Week. And I should also say that I know that our meeting this morning is part of that Vocational Skills Week endeavour. We have had to go online for this year's edition, but the silver lining is that there are more than 3,000 participants taking part online from all across Europe and in fact beyond Europe in different Skills Weeks events. So something to be proud of, I think. So what I think I would say in an introduction, and we can go immediately to the next slide, is that of course we're meeting at a time when the challenges, the economic challenges and the social challenges can feel overwhelming. We knew already some time ago that we would be facing the challenges as well as the opportunities of the digital and the green transitions. What we didn't know was that a pandemic was coming towards us in the earlier part of this year. And COVID, I think we can say it has, in a sense, stepped on the accelerator, has pressed the accelerator on the need for action around the digital and the green transitions. In a sense, we could also say it's an opportunity to build back better. I think that's a reasonable ambition to have at the moment. And a crucial part of that ambition must be about skills, making sure that people have the right skills, both for competitiveness and, of course, for a fair growth strategy, social fairness. So this summer, on the 1st of July, the Commission updated the skills agenda. The message is very clear. It's about skills for jobs, making sure that people have the opportunities to build the skills that they need throughout life, not only in their initial education and training. And much of that, of course, is also about resilience, economic resilience and social resilience. So on the next slide, I would like to spend a moment just looking at what we believe through the skills agenda together in Europe to make this a reality. And there's 4 anchor points in the policy compass that we put forward. The predominant one, as you see here, is all about skilling for a job. So what can we do to deliver on that? Very importantly, skills intelligence. I think this is coming increasingly to the fore. Forecasting, monitoring, analysing at sectoral level, and that's something which I know many of you in our meeting this morning will have experience of. At regional level, we often hear the labour market is regional in many regards, so skills intelligence also at regional level, very important. Generating this skills intelligence, but also applying it, and that I think when we look into current practice, let's say there's definitely scope for improvement there, using the skills intelligence to guide policy decisions and spending decisions, investment decisions. So that's one thing we would like to support. National skills strategies, Philip referred to the need for aligned, joined up skills strategies where governments, social partners, companies themselves, regional development authorities, innovation agencies come together to align policy on all of those fronts, beyond education and labour market policy, really a cross-government holistic approach to skilling. This is something that in many countries there's experience of. We would like to see more of it. And vet systems, of course. This will be close to the hearts of many of you, I know, both initial vet and continuing vet. What can we do together to encourage vet, which is both inclusive and excellent work-based learning opportunities, both for young people and for adults. Turning to lifelong learning, again, the ambition to make lifelong learning a reality rather than a dream, if I put it like that. What can we do to get more adults into learning? We know that most people who'll be working in 20 years' time are in the labour market today. We also know that adult learning tends to still be the exception rather than the rule. We're still far from 50% of adults taking part in continuing learning. 1 in 4 SMEs say that they struggle to find people with the right skills. 70% of companies more generally have that struggle. So what would help make the difference? In Skills Agenda, we put forward the idea of exploring individual learning accounts, so entitlements of either time or money to help people, adults on the labour market, to help engage in further skilling. Can we do something useful together at European level around the so-called micro-credentials, so certifying shorter learning experiences or blocks, modules of learning which adapt faster perhaps to labour market needs, and which for adults, or at least some adults, can be the right way to reskill and upskill. Looking into how that works together across borders and across sectors may be a useful thing to do. We want to look at unlocking investment, public and private investment. How do both companies and governments report on human capital investment? What are the incentives, in fact, to spend on human capital in terms of fiscal frameworks and reporting? And finally, to make an impact, we need, of course, to do this together, to join forces. This will be a reality for many of you who are already experienced within your sector in working through very diverse partnerships. For example, the blueprint. I know that CECIMO is actively engaged in manufacturing right now, and of course you have experience of other Erasmus-funded sector skills alliances, where the driver is really about working together for progress at a sectoral level. So on the next slide, I want to just briefly introduce this first action of the Skills Agenda, the so-called Pact for Skills, launched 2 days ago, and with the support also, I know, of your sector. What we are seeking to do through the Pact is mobilize. It's basically a call to action to the different players. You see them set out here, to make specific commitments, ideally quantifiable commitments to upskilling and reskilling. It's about triggering investment. It's building on things like the European Alliance for Apprenticeships. Many of you will be engaged also in that. It's building on the blueprints, so the sectoral focused projects for skill strategies to support growth. And this is a snapshot of the type of commitments that we would like to be able to encourage through the Pact for Skills. It can be regional, it can be built on social partner arrangements, it can be individual companies. And perhaps what I would like to highlight this morning is the ambition of the large-scale partnerships. And here the idea is to work through the value chain, bringing also SMEs into the picture, opening up work on skilling to include the extended ecosystem and also the smaller players. What we saw on Tuesday evening at the launch of the Pact were commitments by 3 ecosystems already, automotive, microelectronics and aerospace space and defence. So to give you a flavour of that, the automotive partnership has the ambition to upskill per year 5% of its workforce. That's something like 700,000 people. And a rough estimate of the potential investment around that, public and private investment, is something like 7 billion euros. So I think the message is diverse commitments, different partnerships, but particularly what we're keen to see together with the colleagues in DG Grow in the Commission is some work together through the ecosystems to try to bring all players on board, regardless of their own means, but to make sure that workers, wherever they are, can benefit from upskilling and reskilling opportunities on offer. On the next slide, then, I won't dwell on this. It's very tiny writing here, but I'm sure we can share after the event. I just want to highlight the message in the middle of this slide, which is around support from the EU, because of course, what the Commission can bring to this type of collective effort. As ever in this field, it's very much about networking, knowledge sharing, facilitating peer learning, signposting towards financing opportunities, also linking up projects together, linking with existing tools. We've just launched the new version of Europass, which I hope some of you will have a chance to look into. 2 million users a month at the moment of Europass, and what is new there as compared to the Europass that many of you will already know, the CV service, we also have the ambition to link people up with tailored information on learning opportunities and qualifications. That's in an early stage at the moment, but something that we want to invest further in the next months. So I think I would conclude simply this introduction by saying that we're in a phase of opportunities, as well as a number of policy initiatives that have come forward in the first few months of this Commission's mandate. We're also, of course, at the start of a new 7-year budget period. And Philip, you referred, I think, to unprecedented amounts of support being available for investment in skills. And I think that's exactly the right word to use. We're not talking only about the next generation of funding programs that you're familiar with, things like Erasmus, the Social Fund, Horizon and COSME. We're also talking about the so-called Recovery and Resilience Facility. This is 670 billion euros of funding available to member states for national programming for the recovery. One of the 7 fields that the Commission is steering member states to invest in is exactly this one. It's upskilling and reskilling. So I think, as well as being in a phase of challenge, it's clearly also an opportunity to get investment decisions right and really to build back better. So thank you for inviting me to share that in introduction to our session, and very much looking forward to hearing more in the course of the morning about what CECIMO and partners and friends have in the pipeline in the next months. Thanks very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ms. Crabb, for the very interesting presentation, especially to hear about the 3 ecosystems that already committed to this pact. It's very interesting. Now, with no further delay, I would like to give the floor to Ms. Susanne Loschner-Recke, which will give us a little bit of an introduction and a presentation on the activities of the German presidency of the European Council. Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Vincenzo. I have been kindly asked to give a short overview on our activities during the presidency when it comes to education especially, and I will give you a short overview and then look especially at what we are undertaking in VET As you all know, or maybe it is, well, we always deal with it. We have the presidency, which is already coming to an end, because, you know, we only have 6 months, so to say. And as every presidency, we have certain priorities during our presidency. And one is digital education. I mean, we had from even before the presidency, when we all thought things would be organized very, very differently with a lot of big conferences, as you can imagine. Then already we had the decision at government level that vocational education and training will be one of our priorities for the educational field during our presidency. But then it has been decided that digital education has to be another focus of activities due to the COVID-19 situation. We had, of course, decided to have one focus on the European Green Deal. When it comes to research, all these topics are taken up as well, of course, and we are, as we are working on the European education area, we're also working on the European research area. And at council level, with all the member states in our meetings, all member states emphasize that there is a big need of having more synergies between the education and the research area, which is not new, but it's still on the agenda, obviously. Next slide, please. Thank you. Now, when it comes to education and training, as I said, digital is one of the priorities. And we have we are just in the final phase of negotiating at council level, council conclusions on digital education. And we have already, with a good, excellent cooperation with the Commission, actually, we have negotiated and finalized a council recommendation on vocational education and training. So that is, when it comes to VET, that is really the reference document, I would say, for the years to come. And linked to this, I will come back to that in a moment, is also the further development of the Copenhagen process, and we will have what we call the Osnabrück Declaration. I come back to that. We are also preparing or working further on the implementation or the further development of the European education area. And this is something we will hand over to the next, because we are working as a trio presidency. So the next to come is Portugal, and we will, so the files we have started now among this is the European education area. We will pass on to the Portuguese colleagues. Because as you can imagine, a presidency has also to cooperate and to react on what the Commission is publishing. And this is an ongoing work in progress, as you know. One of maybe our biggest file when it comes to education, and maybe our most complicated for the time being, is the finalization of the negotiation of the Erasmus Plus program. And at the overall presidency level, as you are well aware, the negotiations of the multi-annual financial framework is the cornerstone or the foundation of every program as well. And as you might have realized 2 days ago, there has been a breakthrough and everyone is very, very happy. And my colleagues in the financial department were working and are still working very, very hard, as you can imagine. Now, another aspect is strengthening education for sustainable development, and that as well. So the Green Deal, sustainable development, in other words, has also, and that is something we emphasize in the VET field, has a big impact on education for the labor market. And then this is, this is the European Universities Initiative is also an ongoing file which will be handed over to the Portuguese. Next slide, please. Yes. Now, there has been already a ministerial meeting in September in Osnabrück. And that was exactly the moment where vocational education and training was in the focus. So, and where, of course, also with commissioners, Commissioner Schmidt present, and also Commissioner Gabriel. And this meeting where the ministers in charge of VET, of the member states, the EFTA states, and also the European partners took part. That was the good occasion of discussing the measures proposed in the skills agenda and the updated skills agenda, as well as what we as a presidency proposed as the so-called Osnabrück Declaration. Actually, whenever we have ministerial meetings now, ministers of education, we take the opportunity to exchange on what every member state does in the light of the COVID situation when it comes to all levels of educational systems. As you can imagine, this is in a way a constant crisis management, be it in primary, secondary schools, at university level, but especially also when it comes to VET education, also when it comes to the practical phases of VET education and training. Now, the Osnabrück Declaration will be adopted in a sort of online ceremony in the margins of the Education Ministers meeting on the 30th of November. So that will be the momentum where we publish and send out the Osnabrück Declaration, which has been negotiated among all these partners, that is the ministries and the social partners. And I think this is a very good way forward to have, and the Commission, sorry to not to mention before, the Commission is also one of the parts of the overall Copenhagen process. And in the Osnabrück Declaration, we have 4 major objectives where all partners agreed upon. This will be resilience through innovative and flexible VET. The second objective is establishing a lifelong learning culture, relevance of CVET and digitalization. The third objective was sustainability, a green link in VET. And the fourth will be the European education area and the international dimension of VET. We as a presidency have always underlined that CVET is important. Transferability between higher CVET and academic qualifications are important. And excellence in VET is important. And also we have said, and we also said that together with the Commission in the Council recommendation on VET, that VET has to be agile when it comes to labor markets. This, I think, is a big achievement because maybe you can understand that this is not easy to negotiate among all 27 member states to have a common approach. Next slide, please. Yeah, I can just leave it like that. Now, as I mentioned, well, because we are already coming to an end of our presidency, so to say, so as I mentioned just before, on the 30th of November, there is the council also in the formation of education. Well, on the slide, this, well, should have been corrected already because, of course, we had to decide not to have a physical council due to the pandemic situation, but to have an informal event instead, which by the rules is then an informal ministerial meeting. but still we will have this ministerial meeting. Next slide, please. Yeah, and as I sorry, as I said before, we work in the context, in the frame of the trio presidency. We are in very close cooperation with Portugal and Slovenia and work together on all main files. And that is an approach which is not only our approach, of course, but at EU Council level, to guarantee continuity in the files and to work closely together. Thank you. So that would be it from my side for the introduction, and you're welcome to ask any questions. And just lately to mention, as you could see, maybe, hopefully, that what Alison has presented in the beginning, that all the fields are taken up in all our files we negotiate in the presidency. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. And in any case, all this material will be shared afterwards with the participants, so everyone will be informed properly about the content. Now, with no further delay, I will give the floor to Adelaide Almeida, which will give us an overview of the very important project in which also CECIMO is partner, the SAM project about additive manufacturing, skills in additive manufacturing. Adelaide, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Vincenzo. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So good morning to all of you. Thank you very much to CECIMO for the organization of this webinar. We are very pleased to share with you our experience from the SAM project and also from EWF. And on behalf of EWF, I would like to thank you also for the opportunity to address how we are tackling the skills gaps in the additive manufacturing sector. Just a few words before starting, just to give you some background. EWF is a private organization, a non-profit organization composed by 32 members, which is actually responsible, the federation, for the management of the only harmonized international qualification system for additive manufacturing that is currently being implemented in 46 countries, in Europe and outside Europe. EWF has expressed also the support to this Pact for Skills. So we are committed with the new skills agenda, and we have been operating in the past 27 years in the development of skills in a harmonized way across Europe, and we could not be involved in such important initiative as the Pact for Skills. Concretely, my presentation today will bring you an overview about how the SAM project, the Sector Skills Strategy for Additive Manufacturing, is addressing the skills gap, and provide you also some highlights about the key aspects of the strategy that we are placing together with the support of the relevant stakeholders. The SAM project has started in 2019, so it is a blueprint project for the additive manufacturing sector. Within the consortium, we count with the expertise of 17 partners. Which of them we have 3 umbrella organizations: EWF, CECIMO, and EPMA, the European Powder Metallurgy Association. We have the balance between industrial representatives, 8 industrial representatives that are key players in additive manufacturing, and 6 organizations involved in education and training. So the overall objective of the projects is to develop a sustainable system that enables to identify and anticipate the right skills for the sector, and in such a way support the growth and the competitiveness of the sector across Europe. We have three main objectives. One of them is to address the development of a structure that will enable to continuously analyze and anticipate the skills needs, create an observatory composed by different stakeholders that will be engaged in the identification of these skills, but also in developing these skills and making sure that the right training is implemented at national level. The project is the core outcomes of the projects are the definition of two key methodologies. One of them is the forecast methodology that enables the system to continuously identify the skills. Another methodology, which is a system that will enable to review and develop professional profiles and qualifications for the sector. And also one of the objectives is to, at long term, raise awareness about the additive manufacturing sector among different target groups that normally are not within the scope of such projects. So we are conducting campaigns already with children to let them know about the benefits of additive manufacturing and the possibilities of starting a career in this area as well. I will leave you now with a short animation that we have prepared that give the highlights on how the strategy, the statistical strategy is being developed and what it is about. So I will just show it. It's a very short.
Professionals working in the additive manufacturing field require education that ranges from a better understanding of the fundamentals of the additive process to practical tools to mature the ability of operating with a commercial machine and getting confidence with health and safety precautions. So that's the ambition of becoming next generation experts.
Many students are already working now or later in companies that may use additive manufacturing.
So as we saw, the SAM sector skills strategy has identified 7 gap drivers of the strategy. So these are these gap drivers address mostly, and the flagship of this activity is to address the lack of IM personnel at European level, and also to prepare organizations to be able to address this lack of personnel. So the strategy is being setting up to support the current implementation of additive manufacturing, and also to increase the uptake of the technologies at different levels. And the major, let's say that the key activities and supporting activities of the strategies consist in the implementation of an international IM qualification system and its national rollout across Europe, with and in each country, of course, supported by a network of training centers that are providing training in this area. The International IM Qualification System is a common training scheme for personnel that guarantees that independently on where the training takes place, the same quality assurance and the same outcomes of the training is delivered. So it means that we can have in the different countries the same qualification awarded by the different countries. Currently, the system, the International IM Qualification System, is being implemented at private level. So we have authorized training centers that are providing these trainings, but the objective along the SAM project and beyond is to continue consolidating this structure of training centers and capacitating these training centers to provide this training. We currently, the qualification system is already for additive manufacturing, addressing different levels of professional profiles and roles. We have 4 professional profiles already being implemented. These profiles have been defined with the support of the industry. So the approach to come to the development of these qualifications has been a collaborative approach where we have been asking the industry. We have been in collaboration with standardization groups to be able to really make sure that the training that is provided is aligned with what are the industrial requirements. I can tell you that within this development process, we identified the need to have the qualifications developed by group of materials. That's why we started with the metals. But the idea and the objective within SAM will be to extend this qualification system also to other materials, namely to polymers and composites. Also an interesting aspect that we have identified with the support of industry is that we need to develop these professional profiles according to the different additive manufacturing process. So we have specializations according to the different processes.
1 minute.
Yes, it's my last slide. Thank you very much, Vincenzo. Just to say then, this approach to tackle skills development, counting with the support of the industry and having close collaboration with different stakeholders at the different stages, not only during the development, but also in the implementation, has the possibility to be transferred to other systems and to other sectors. And we know that quality assurance and making sure that the training that is delivered is aligned with the industry needs and quality assurance aspects is a key aspect that is transversal to all sectors. Finally, just to inform you that the EWF General Assembly is taking place already next week, and we are organizing an European workshop for training centers. So I invite you, if you are involved in training, to participate as well. And I also invite you to follow our channels, and in case you have any doubt or you'd like to be involved within this network, please feel free to contact us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adelaide. Indeed, please visit our social media channel. We're very active, and you can find a lot of information about the AM skills gap on our website. Now, we will pass we will give the floor to Mr. Christian Bigman, which will give us an overview of the activities done in Germany for closing the skills gap. Christian, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Yes, also, first of all, I want to say thank you for the invitation, and I'm glad that I can show you a few slides of an actual program which we perform at the moment here in Germany. It's a local project in the state, or in one state of Germany, in North Rhine-Westphalia. And to give you an overview of it, I directly share my screen with you. So, do you see my slides?
Yes.
Perfect. Then I directly want to start. Because we only have 10 minutes for the presentation, it will be only a short overview of the content of the project. If you have further questions, you can directly contact me. After this presentation, here you directly have my contact data. So, what I want to show to you. First of all, I want to start who we are. So why we do this project, then a little bit deeper in the topics of this project, then the implementation. So how do we actually proceed in this project? And at last, I will give you a short overview of the idea of digital learning, what we also will give an overview in this presentation. So, first of all, our name is Nachwuchsstiftung Maschinenbau. It's a German word. So we are a non-profit organization to support the dual education system here in Germany. So if a company have any problems with the education of young people or the vocational training, they can get in contact with us and we try to support them. We are an organization of the two associations, the VDMA and the VDW, who both support the machine building sector in Germany. Here's a short overview of our fields of action. The first of all is promotion of young talent in our field of doing, so that we like to show them what are the advantages if they want to work in our field. The second one is the consulting and the dual training. What I mentioned, if a company has any topics of their training system in the company or in the schools, we want to help them. Knowledge transfer through current teaching media, and the last big point at the moment is training 4.0. How does Industry 4.0 or digitalization touches the current training system in Germany, and how can we change this system that we all get an advantage? So together we are strong. Everything what we do we together with our project partners. So we look in the field which company or which organization have a very deep knowledge or experience in some field of digitalization or new technologies, and what can we do with them together to transfer this knowledge to a whole or a big multipliers in Germany. So now the project. What was the intention for us to perform this project? First of all, increasing digitalization. Everyone is talking about different types of digitalization, and we want to give companies and schools a chance to get an overview. What is meaning with digitalization in this field, and to get a decision what fields of digitalization is important for me or for my organization. Directly combined with the second point, the new challenges that we have to learn about more digital tools, more digital ways of working, or to transfer this knowledge in the digital ways. Attractiveness is in Germany very important for the companies. If they start with new technologies in digitalization, that is very interesting for young people to work for this company. And the last point, support for ambitious trainees. So that's a short slide. We had a project before this one in a smaller field, in a smaller region, where we want to qualify young people in digital manufacturing processes. That was a program of 8 modules in the field of digitalization or manufacturing processes, and in summary 200 teaching hours what they can fulfill during their apprenticeship. Now, it continue. After the project, it ends, I'm show you here, it ends about 2 years ago. We thought, what can we do with this knowledge which we now have? And we decided to offer it to a bigger region in Germany. So the first one was only in East Westphalia. Now we offered it in the new program NRW Goes Digital to the whole size or the whole region North Rhine-Westphalia, which is a state in Germany. The target group in the first project were 86 trainees. Now we go up to 1,400 trainees. In the first one, we hadn't considered the trainers and teachers. Now we thought that we also have to consider this. So we want to qualify 600 trainers and teachers in this field that they can take this knowledge and multiply it to the trainees. And the period also extend about 21 months. Here we have the project phases. The first is the qualification of the teacher and trainers. We created courses. In the first round, it were only in presence. Now we have a blended learning concept because of COVID-19. The second one is a development of scripts. So really teaching material what everyone of the teacher and trainer can use in their daily training. And the third project phase is an additional qualification for the young trainees. A short overview of our project schedule. The official project start were in October 2018. Then we initialized the project. We have the 2 training offensives. The first one only in presence, the second one which we actually have in blended learning concept. So with a self-learning phase and blended or web sessions. And then we start, or during this 2 training offensives, we develop the training material. Then we start with the first pass of the trainees and the second pass of the trainees. So, and what is the content? We talked with our partners, with companies, with different, I would say, organization in the vocational training, and asked them what is important for the future for you that we train you, also the trainers and teachers and the trainees. So it all starts in this program with process analysis. Only if we know what or how we do it today, maybe without digitalization, we can decide, is digitalization important in this field? So we have to get a very deep knowledge of our processes. Then, what is also very important for us, if we walk digital, IT security. That's a street which we have to fulfill. And then we identified these 6 technical fields: smart maintenance, additive manufacturing, intelligent production with CPS, so cyber physical systems, a combination of digital data and a real product, and how I can combine these 2 parts. Work 4.0, connected manufacturing system, and CAX integrated manufacturing. So we took this modules and go to our partners and ask them, can you help us? Can you create a workshop or a self-learning phase that we can take this information and offer it to a big group of manipulators, a big group of teachers and trainers. So we identified 15 project partners, and they now train the trainers and the teachers.
1 minute, Christian.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And the last one, how we do it with a digitalization tool. It's called the MLS, Mobile Learning in Smart Factories. So we can implement here different tasks for the teachers and trainers and also for the trainees. They can work on it, process orientated in their own way when they have time. And then we can also edit our task in it. We can send it to the trainers and they can fulfill the task. So, and that's my last slide, the forecast. The first, what we now started, what we actually do is evaluation of the project targets. If we fulfilled every target which we set, and we are in contact with other states in Germany, at the moment, at the most with Saxony and Lower Saxony, that these states also want this project in their region. So that were my presentation. And at the last, I want to end with some very interesting sentences, which I think that respond to all of us. Finding the right balance between technology and humanity will determine failure or success for all of us. So with these sentences, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Christian. Very nice last slide, I would say. I will ask you to send me this picture afterwards.
You're welcome.
I would like to start, of course, give the floor to Ishaka Egurbide for his presentation, and I would like to tell our participants that we hope you can stay 10 minutes longer so that we can have a short Q&A session after the 10 minutes of Ishaka. Ishaka, the floor is yours now.
Okay, thank you, Vincenzo. First of all, thank you for the invitation. I'm going to share my presentation. Yeah. It's okay?
Yes, we can see it.
Everything is okay? Okay. Thank you. So, okay, today I will not tell you about a specific project, a specific issue, or so on. No, I just would like to bring our experience to the discussion. I mainly want to show you a 30-year strategy. Since we are talking about competencies needs, skill gaps, and so on, this was one of the important key to our foundation. Wait a moment, I have problems to pass. Yeah. Okay. 30 years ago, the machine tool manufacturers sector needed a highly qualified people with high skills in maintenance and assembly, machines commissioning, machines startup, and there wasn't suitable training offer. This was one of the key points to found or to start the Machine Tool Institute project. Machine Tool Institute was founded more than 30 years ago as a public-private initiative with the participation of the main public institutions, Basque government, Provincial Council of Gipuzkoa, Elgoibar Town Council, relevant associations such as ADEGI Employers Associations, of course, Machine Tool Manufacturer Associations, and with more than 100 companies involvement. So, therefore, the problem of skill gaps is a recurring problem. Maybe nowadays this problem accelerated by the speed of technological change, of business model changes, and in general of the impact of Industry 4.0. Okay, we are part of the Spanish, as you can see in the slide, we are part of the Spanish Machine Tool Association. AFM is a member of CECIMO. And we work very, very closely with a strategic relationship with AFM and its associated companies. Our focus is on how we promote the learning capacity of people and companies. This is our reason d'etre. How we facilitate, how we can support them, people and companies, in their technological absorption capacity. And for this purpose, we have a curriculum training offer, specializations offer, continuous training, lifelong learning, and so on and so on. We are working in these areas. We are a vocational training school, of course. We are very involved in machining, design, mechatronics, specializations. We also are attached to the University of the Basque Country. So we have a university offer at engineering level, bachelor and master degree level. We are quite active, very active in continuing training, employment training, lifelong learning concepts, all of them, or most of them, in industrial areas. And we also involved in transfer and innovation for companies. Most of them SMEs, mainly SMEs. So we are involved in curriculum training, in continuing training, but we also have advanced training spaces for the demonstration of advanced technologies to work mainly with SMEs. Okay, yeah, from the present, as we can see, we are looking for the future. Okay, our obsession is to contribute to the development of the 4.0 industry applied to manufacturing. This is our raison d'etre, 4.0 for manufacturing. But we know where we come from. We have history, we have a broad know-how, and that is what we show in our machine tool museum. As you can see in this slide, we have an alive museum with a beautiful workshop showing machines from the end of the 20th century. Always, and maybe nowadays with more reasons, due to the complexity of the changes, the integration of different technologies, the speed of the change of technologies, etc., it is essential to work in a network, to work collaboratively. And in this sense, we participate and encourage these collaborations. As you can see in the slide, here you have different examples. Both we are participating in different networks in industrial area and also in educational area. As I explained you, we are part of the AFM, Machine Tool Association, but we work also together with the Basque Aeronautical Cluster or Basque Aeronautic Automotive Sector. So we are involved in different nets through Basque Country. These are some examples. And of course, we are a school, we are a vocational training school, we are a university school, so we are also involved in educational networks. For example, in vocational training, public vocational training network, ICASLAN, we are part and we are collaborating with Technica. Technica is the Basque Vocational Training Research and Development institution. We are also involved in a Spanish Vocational Training Association. We are supporting STEAM initiatives. We are part of the Basque University cluster, Lagune, and we are quite active also in European initiatives like Erasmus+, Interreg, and we are involved, for example, in two projects inside of EIT manufacturing strategy or initiative. Okay, and nowadays, where we are today? Well, as it couldn't be otherwise, we are in Industry 4.0 strategy, and especially trying to focus on its development associated with advanced manufacturing. This is our focus. Our focus is advanced and digital manufacturing campus. We are supporting, we are learning, we are trying to apply 4.0 strategies, technologies in manufacturing scope, in manufacturing area. Okay, and in this sense, we are working in two lines, in two strategies. The first line of the first strategy is how to develop, as we can say, a School 4.0 concept. In this sense, we are very focused in teaching and learning methodologies, problem and project-based learning methodologies, teaching or learning factory concepts, and so on and so on. No? We are trying to develop the 4.0 technologies applied to the learning processes like virtual reality, augmented reality, etc. etc.
You have 1 minute, Ishaka.
Yeah, okay, I'm finishing, yeah. And the other line is we are trying to develop the Factory 4.0 smart factory concept. Smart factory concept. As I explained you before, we are a school, we are very involved in curriculum training, continuing training, but we are also developing the demonstrate advanced spaces, demonstration for people and for companies, no? Well, specifically with SMEs, for SMEs. In this sense, we have a fully digitized machining workshop, as you can see in the slide. And we have also, as AMH Additive Village, additive manufacturing specific space with quite good investment and quite good resources. So this is our strategy and our experience to trying to support people and companies in their development, in their skills development through a smart factory, Industry 4.0, in advanced manufacturing spaces or strategy. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Ishaka, for your presentation. I'm definitely interested in checking and visiting as soon as possible the IMH Additive Manufacturing Village. I'm sure it's a lot of fun. We have I've seen that we have received a couple of questions, which Alison, you have been very active on the Q&A. Maybe we can start from those one. If you have anything else to add on the, or maybe to share with the rest of the participants that maybe have not read, it's about, the questions were about the age discrimination and the UK situation in the program.
So, well, one of those is perhaps easier to answer than the other. So on the questions, one participant was asking, let's say, about the focus in terms of the age of people accessing education, training, and all sorts of skilling opportunities. And as I was writing in the chat there, the clear message, as I said, with this edition of the skills agenda is skilling for jobs. We are talking about people on the labour market or through the labour market, but not to forget that, of course, in the much wider policy context of lifelong learning, that really does reach also well into post-retirement. I mean, you know, we always say it's never too late to learn, and that can, of course, also be for people off the labour market. Why are we focusing so much now on this adult population? Because it's really the most difficult one to get into or to get back into further learning. And I mean, I often quote the survey finding, which for me is incredibly shocking. You know, when people are surveyed as to why they don't, adults are surveyed as to why they don't engage in further learning or training. Yes, there are answers like financial challenges, time lacking, family commitments, I can't find the adequate training. The most common answer is that I don't believe I need to learn. I don't believe I need to engage in reskilling or upskilling. And that is such a tough thing to tackle. And that is really why through the skills agenda, we want to give another push to trying to get to grips with that one. In addition to all the work, which of course, and Susanna touched on it, long-standing work around it, all aspects of education and training systems. Also initial vet, of course, is quite right, typically in the headlines. On the UK question, which is coming back into the media these days, you know, the reality of the situation is that January of this year, January 2020, was the start of the so-called transition period, this one-year Brexit transition period. And at that time, the UK stepped out of all policy cooperation processes, so things like the European Qualifications framework, where they have been a very active and indeed expert player since its inception. They have now left that cooperation process. So indeed, we need to see in the next days or weeks whether a deal emerges, and that will then open the door, of course, to the discussions on the extent to which the UK and the EU27 might want to envisage cooperation on things like the Erasmus programme or the Horizon programme, are the ones that are typically talked about. That will remain to be seen. But at the moment, I would say already this year, we've had a bit of a flavour of you know, saying goodbye, sadly, to the UK experts who have been very active in all sorts of policy cooperation frameworks.
Thank you. I actually have a question for Suzanne. You mentioned actually that you are of course in contact with your colleagues of the upcoming presidency, and in particular, I would like to know from you if there is any specific activity or any specific result that you had so far since July that you wish or that your colleagues will take up and continue during the presidency. So if there is any specific or any activity that you are currently discussing for them to take up during their 6 months.
Yes, thank you, Vincenzo. The logic follows the calendar, so to say. So the council cooperates and reacts, so to say, to the initiatives and the publications of the Commission and vice versa. And having that in mind, we all know that the communication on the European education area has been published on the 30th of September. So that date was too late for us to thoroughly tackling this very big topic, actually. Although, and linked to the European education area is the strategic framework for education and training, the follow-up of the one which comes to an end this year. So both topics have been discussed since a couple of years already at council level. And it has been made clear by many member states that we appreciate a holistic approach. That means that education is to be seen in all educational sectors. What we were saying by that is that vocational education and training is part of the overall education area. So, and this file will be the one where the Portuguese right now start working on. We do prepare this file as it is usually done by having a policy debate on the topic at the Education Council on the 30th of November. So that will be the opportunity for the ministers to give their say on the topic. It's on the basis of a discussion paper. And so that would be the start to go into depth with this file. And as this is an overarching topic, beyond this, there should be all aspects to be dealt with further, because Alison was mentioning a couple of that which are part of the skills agenda, like the micro-credentials, etc. Then, of course, we have the European University networks, and that are all actually topics where the DG EAC and DG Ample are working closely together. And that is what we as a council would really want to have, because it is absolutely clear that vocational and general education needs, it has to be seen together. So that would be it. That is, to my knowledge, that's what's happening then, certainly. Other things will be presented actually by the Portuguese incoming presidency at this very educational council, because as always, the incoming presidency has then the opportunity to present in a first presentation what are our priorities in the first part of next year. And as I said before, the Slovenians stand already in line. So we have many meetings right now already with all three of us, where we look together at the files. And actually there has also been common paper by the three ministers of the trio, outlining, these are our topics and this will be followed up, etc. And actually, as we all know, education is not a quick process. So if you want to have a change, that takes time, and rightly so, but because it would not work to change things overnight. Although I know that you as social partners would probably say some things should be could be quicker, but I can already tell you that the line in the council recommendation for VET, where we had the subtitle, VET has to be agile, I can tell you we discussed very long with all member states, because there were a couple of member states who were thinking this goes too far. Whereas we as a German presidency would tend to say, although we have to be the neutral ones in as a presidency, but we as a German with a German background would say, well, yes, of course it has to be agile, and we're doing that on a day-to-day basis. I hope Mr. Wiegmann can confirm that we have a well-established system of doing that together with the social partners, with the chambers, etc. So, so this is just to outline a bit how things work, and and of course, I mean, hopefully, I mean, the fact that we have done a council recommendation now, and that we will publish or adopt the Osnabrück Declaration. That is at council level, the structural level. We have it now, but then it has to be implemented. And I'm pretty sure that the Commission will look closely on, and it is part of the tasks, of course, of the Commission. Also together with those colleagues who are in charge, for example, of the Erasmus Plus program. Well, to now see what does that mean? How can we put things into practice? How much will it be at project level? For instance, when I listened to the colleagues who were presenting the projects, my immediate reaction coming from a Ministry of Education in Hamburg would be, yes, so far so good. How could we put that into the system? That is always the crucial question. How does project results come into system level? But this, I mean, this recommendations, as soft as it is as a governance, the recommendation gives so many hints. And that is the big work for each and every member state and for each and every enterprise when it comes to VET. I mean, there are a range of aspects actually when it comes to work-based learning, for instance, big topic. And that can only be put into practice together in cooperation with the enterprise level. That is a big task for you as well as for us. As you all know, there are member states who say we don't have work-based learning. We don't want an indicator on that. Whereas we would say yes, and that is why it is put in the recommendation, because this is the gold standard. Well, so I stop here because if not, I talk on I go on for hours.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
But it was it's absolutely interesting, and it's insights in your work. Then I think sometimes it's a bit a gray area for many to understand how things are working at council level as well. So I think it was a very good insight. Thank you very much. Adelaide, I have a short follow-up question for you. Regarding the AM observatory that you actually mentioned in your presentation, how, if let's say, I know a little bit the answer, but I want to ask you anyway. How is the AM observatory will be used by industries after the end of the project? So what will be the added value for of the AM observatory after the end of the project?
Thank you, Vincenzo, for that question. Well, the observatory will intend to continue after the project by continuously applying the methodologies that are being started in the project. So we are currently involving, the observatory is composed by two councils. We have a qualification council that has specific working groups that are working on the development and review of training guidelines for the additive manufacturing sector. And this qualification council is working in collaboration with another council, which is the industrial council, where we have experts from the industry identifying and validating the skills needs. So these two pillars are coming together, and we have now started working sessions where we have been bridging both areas, working together to really develop new qualification, new skills, and having also a network. And the network of training centers also belongs to the Qualification Council that will then implement these trainings in their own countries. So the idea is to have the system, this qualification system, continuously updated and continuously being fed by the feedback of the implementation. So for now, these are still private organizations, but our intention is also that involving national authorities within the process and having this qualification recognized and embedded in national system as well. And so the intention is that the observatory will continue working in within this system and this close collaboration for the next periods.
Well, thank you, Adelaide. Maybe for both Christian and Ishak, I would like to share with you actually a question. Maybe you can give me your 3 highlights, or I mean less, hopefully there are fewer, about what are the major barriers to people in Germany and Spain that want to start a career in manufacturing, maybe in a branch of advanced manufacturing. So what in your experience are the major barriers for people that want to approach this career? Maybe Christian, you can start.
Okay, what are my top 3? I think a short minute of it. Okay, the first would be in the mind of young people, they think they cannot earn so much money in this field. So with a decided for an academical study, they can earn more money. That would be one of the top 3. The next one would be a little bit old-schooled. So if you work in a company, maybe they have to imagine it's dirty, it's dark in there, it's every time the same. So they cannot make such a meeting like we do at the moment. That's the second one. And the third one would be, yeah, maybe it's the hints from their parents. So that they say to the young people, okay, your life could be easier when you do an academic way and not vocational training, and they push them a little bit to the universities. And our daily work is to show, okay, there's changing a lot in this field, in the manufacturings. It's very clear we are working with the latest technologies in the manufacturing. You have a you can also make a very good career. Like, yeah, all the people or all the young people liked to play with modules of cars or so on, or with Lego or so. Why did they forget it? That they do it in the life after it. And that's to show them the possibilities in this field. That would be my top 3.
Thank you. How about you, Ishaga?
Yeah, I was thinking, I was listening, Christian, I'm thinking, maybe the first issue in our reality is cultural. It's a cultural, I don't know, when we are speaking or when we are thinking in manufacturing, we are thinking in an old companies, very related to the men people, not women, and so on and so on. So it's something cultural that is very difficult to change. And the first, and I think that the most important barrier is this, the cultural vision, the imagine that we stopped, I don't know, in the past century, no, and now we are not in Industry 4.0. We are in the big old companies, and when the workers are men, and so on and so on. So the first one. Another point, I don't have maybe 3, but another point is that when we in Spain, in the Basque Country, when we are thinking in vocational education, we are thinking as an end opportunity. Okay, I'm going to go to the vocational education and then I'm going to work. Why? Why? You can do vocational education and then go to the university. Why? So what we have to do is to show this path, to boost this path, to try to combine skills, vocational skills with, for example, engineering skills or more academical skills. This combination is a great combination, okay? And when we are thinking in our families, my son, my children, I would like to go to the university. I'm thinking that vocational training is 2 years studies, 3 years studies, and then to the company. This is a possibility, a real possibility, but you can do 2 years in vocational higher education, for example, and then continue to the university. And this combination is a great combination. And maybe instead of speak about barriers, we can speak about the opportunities, no? And maybe the Industry 4.0 can be an opportunity. Industry 4.0, advanced manufacturing concept, additive manufacturing, they are very attractive technologies. Very attractive technologies. It's very modern. We can show a very modern imagine related to Industry 4.0 applied in workshops, applied in manufacturing. So maybe this could be an opportunity to change this advanced manufacturing imagine. No? Additive manufacturing is very cool, but we are speaking about manufacturing. We are producing. We are thinking in plastics, in polymers, and we have 3 machines in metal additive manufacturing. And metal additive, normally, needs machining. And machining, we can speak about data analytics and so on and so on. So maybe Industry 4.0 can be a good opportunity to change and to show to the young people the modern image, the future, and a really good opportunity for them to be modern and to be cool and to be, I don't know, cool people, no? Cool people. Okay, and also as schools, a vocational training school, as a university, we try to change our culture. Yeah? We have to show a good image, good facilities, good workshops. This is our work also. Yeah? We have to improve the active methodologies and not I don't know, this is difficult to study engineer, for example, or I don't know, we have to improve active methodologies, problem-based learning, project-based learning, case-based learning, and so on and so on. So maybe this.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I think you touched some very important points, and I think the cultural one, I would subscribe it. I mean, I think it's quite a major barrier. I would say that we are well beyond the time that we fixed for this webinar, but I would say that this discussion was needed. All your interventions were very interesting, very insightful. I hope that this is just one first step towards a discussion that will progress, because we have seen that the policy framework has been just developed by the Commission and by the Council. We have organizations at national level ready to implement and to attract more people to join the workforce in the advanced manufacturing. And of course, we have European projects that are setting the stage for common curriculum and to have access to common guidelines in specific sector like the one on additive manufacturing, the project SAM. With this, I would like to conclude today's event by thanking, of course, all our speakers and all the other people that have connected. And well, to the next, I wish you all the best, and we talk in the next event that CECIMO will organize on skills.